What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is episode 29. This is the August 2019 View recording. I'm sitting down with TCC President Rob Roach, GM of Sales AJ Petrarca, and Latin American Operations Manager Javier Fernandez. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
In my head, I'm trying to make sure I remember everyone's titles and say it all correctly.
You did well.
Thank you. I guess it's the 29th time I've done it, so I guess
You're getting good at this.
we're getting there. But yeah, this is the August 2019 recording. I guess halfway through summer, maybe a little bit more halfway through summer. It's crazy to say that already.
Yeah, it is. It's already starting to dwindle. You're starting to see less people around, and soon the kids in the South will be going back to school, and the college kids were not far behind them. So
Yeah, I heard from a company they go back to school like this week,
wow.
which I think is early.
Where is that?
In Georgia.
Wow.
Well, it's not even August yet.
Yeah.
They went back in July.
I think what's today, Wednesday, tomorrow or Friday, I think they said. They do like 2 half days or something.
It's amazing because I always, as a kid, summer was 3 months. It was June, July, and August. Now it's July.
Yep.
And, and where our office is in Jamestown, Rhode Island, is a tourist area,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see it get so much more pressured within July. And also when, August, September ends, there's nobody around.
Yep.
So it's like, it's crazy.
Which I'm okay with. I think
That's
August
kind of
and
nice.
September.
We have it all to ourselves in
Yep.
the best time of the year.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so August obviously means coming into the second half of the year officially. So we just got done with first half of the year, and in the second quarter, we're starting to see companies announcing how things are going for the first half of the year, and obviously keeping a track of our first half of the year and come to the end of the second quarter. It's just kind of as an overview, how are things going overall? How's things looking at a high level?
Well, our actual year end is tomorrow. So, as I said in our office meeting yesterday, we're at the end of the race, and we're starting a new race on Friday. So, the year was a good year. It was not certainly as robust as I guess it would be 2017, 2018 timeframe. But we managed to do well. Coming down to more micro level, Q2 was very soft. We were, really declining our inventory since September of last year. We sort of saw this coming, and I think we were very proactive about that. So overall, TCC is in great shape. The good news is after a soft second quarter, July seemed and is pretty strong, and August is looking to be stronger. So that's the good news, and we're hopeful that this next fiscal year for us will be a really good one. But overall, 2019 as a whole, I wouldn't say it's a good year, and it's kind of starting to now, not kind of, it is reflecting in the numbers of some of the people in our industry, and we'll get to that, I think, in a little while.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see the kind of consensus seems to be that things are slowing down a little bit, yet the stock market continues to rise. It's interesting to see those kind of go in two separate directions.
Well, the rich are getting richer. The big companies are really in control in DC right now, and that's not a surprise. But when these big conglomerates grow and are allowed to get stronger, it doesn't help the smaller companies, and small business employs far more than large business. So
Yep.
The way the economy is structured right now is not beneficial to small businesses. It's really beneficial to the giants, and something that is kind of disappointing is just to see the death of retail. I mean, we go by malls and they're empty, strip malls, they're empty. It's just non-existent in places anymore, and these companies like Walmart and Family Dollar and things are the only retail around. Amazon is completely crushed
Yep.
small businesses and things like that. So it's not a pretty picture.
Yep. I think one of the biggest things that's contributed to some of that has been the trade war concerns, and the two guys sitting to my left and right obviously keep a very close eye on that with either products we're bringing in from China or products that are coming in and obviously going to South America, Latin America, two things that are important for us. So there were quote-unquote constructive talks in July, and then talks are set to resume, I guess, in Washington in September. So we're kind of in a wait-and-see period, but obviously that's still been a big concern and something we're keeping a close eye on.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how little talks there are about it. I don't hear about it. I mean, the tariffs are there, and there's not really much being done. It seems to get those put back to where they should be, but I don't know. I guess Rob was right when he said it's going to be a long time, Back at AFPM, he was being called a pessimist, but, here we are, and they're still here, not, no end in sight.
It's a big issue. And yesterday, Trump came out and said that if he's reelected, it's going to get far worse, the trade war with China. So also, my father sent out an article the other day that was interesting that, the exports from China were some 5% to the USA of their total exports. So we're really just a small piece of the export market for China. You also have to consider the fact that prior to the trade war, there was the environmental, new environmental policies throughout China that are still in effect and still having an effect within China, where plants are shutting down because they're too close to cities and things like that. They're having to move. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They have all these sort of, I guess, what would be considered EPA agents in the USA, and they just go out every day and they look for people that are polluting, which I think is a good thing because, there's a lot of problems in China with pollution, but the way it's being handled is without any concern for supply chains.
Yeah, they just go there and close shops.
Yeah, and we're in the chemical industry. We know these plants are continuous, and to close them down and to bring them back up is a very expensive thing. So the supply chain from China is getting more critical each day, and we're also hearing that they're extremely slow in all of Asia, extremely slow, all of Europe, and I think Javi will concur, extremely slow in all of Latin America. So some of the feedback we're getting for USA is people want more volume here because it's not elsewhere.
Yep.
So, which is good for us. We're getting the support and getting out there and selling more products in the U.S. And hopefully this economy will stay up.
And I know, Javi, you were just saying that you're running into import products more and more in South America and Latin America that historically were either on par with pricing or wasn't really a concern. Now all of a sudden
finding other products from India, finding products from China, Europe, East Europe. So traditionally they were in that market. Now you find them there. So it's the competition. It's a lot, and especially it's a small market. So it's very tough at the moment.
Yeah, where historically it wouldn't have been as big a focus, but now with the U.S.
Yeah.
less in play,
that product has to go somewhere,
Yep. So something to keep an eye on. And that's personally one of the biggest things that's been interesting for me to watch is, okay, China, U.S., there's this trade war going on, but that volume has to go somewhere, and it's going to affect all these other markets and locations downstream.
Another troubling thing is Brexit, and the new, I guess, is prime minister. Is it? I forget his name, but it looks like they're going to be pushing for Brexit and to make Brexit happen, and I think that could be disastrous for Great Britain and for the EU if it, it's already having some real critical impact on the all of the EU, along with Portugal, Greece, Italy, etc., and their deficits. So the reports out of Europe are very concerning, demand-wise and how slow they are.
Just one more big geopolitical concern going on.
Right.
Any one of these in themselves would be a big deal, and all of a sudden you got all of them at the same time.
And then Iran, and the skirmishes in the Persian Gulf. I mean, it's that in itself is also something that would be, a news headline.
Yep. Yeah, and speaking of Europe, one other thing we're keeping a close eye on, it seems like, or it doesn't seem like, it's been seen that Europe's having another drought this year and another set of heat waves, and we're closely watching the Rhine River again, which obviously was a huge issue this time last year, maybe a little bit later in the year last year, after they saw the heat waves and the Rhine River levels were at an all-time low. We're starting to creep towards those levels again, and could be a major issue in some supply chains.
It's not only a major issue in supply chains, the GDP of Germany has been affected by this. There's, and a lot of these businesses are, government is involved with the business and whatnot, so it's having a major impact, and we're already hearing that cargoes are having to be, cut by a quarter to a half in moving traffic through the Rhine. So already that's having an impact. Things are more expensive to make because you're paying more to move less, or you're paying the same amount moving less, which equates to higher prices. So,
and that's early because last year we saw it toward the fall, like October time frame. So it's not looking good this year. So gotta be ready. Have to fill the tanks.
Do you know if they're taking any drastic measures like dredging or something like that to mitigate this? Because this seems like a continuing problem the last couple of years.
Well, one of the things I remember was just a couple of weeks ago, they showed like a temperature map of Europe, and it was like purple. It was so hot. It was amazing. But yeah, to your point, AJ, I have heard one very major chemical producer has invested in like those the air cushion things. What are they called? They come up on air, so you don't have any.
Oh, like a hovercraft?
Like a hovercraft
Really?
type. Yeah, I'm not kidding. A hovercraft type barge
That'll be something.
to move products, because then there's no ballast that pushes you down and creates depth. So it actually lifts it up. It's very expensive, but they were able to continue to move product. I didn't hear that from the horse's mouth, but I did hear that it got that desperate last year, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I think what I have also heard is that the majors that are along the Rhine River are really looking at the next 10 to 20 years and what's going to happen with the Rhine River and the overwhelming demand for water versus the available supply. So maybe they might have to move or shut down or something, if this continues. So
Right.
It's definitely a major thing that we should stay on top of.
Yeah, it becomes less a one bad season and more maybe this is just the new norm, something you got to deal with,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right.
So something also to keep a close eye on. Javi, any updates with Latin America? I know we've spoke about Venezuela a bunch. Have anything changed?
Mainly Venezuela. The delegates for both governments are meeting in Barbados today and this week, and Norway is the mediator. So let's see how it goes.
Both governments, you mean the two Venezuelan
The two
sides?
Venezuelan sides are meeting. Both delegates have their meeting, so kind of negotiation, looking for a peace treaty for an end, a peaceful end of everything that's going on in Venezuela. So hopefully Norway does a good job mediating and finding a good way out of this mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's been ongoing.
Yeah, it keeps on going. It's really bad, but we still have some business there, but it's
Yeah. And obviously it goes way beyond just chemical industry and business.
Yeah.
It's people's lives and
yeah, it goes far beyond that.
But they are still producing some things there.
Oh yeah, there's still people producing probably at 20-30%. There's still factories. There's still people producing.
No.
Limping along, right?
Yeah.
Compared to what it was.
well, it's like you mentioned, it's so expensive to stop a plant and start a plant back up. At least keeping it at some capacity must be,
Yeah.
Well,
stopping a plant's got to be the worst case
their
scenario.
petroleum industry is really beat up right now because of that, because they have nowhere to really go with it.
Nowhere to go with the sanctions. They have nowhere to go, so they have to. The logistics have before they come to the U.S. Now with the sanctions, they have to go to Iran, to China. So the logistics have increased a lot.
Yeah. So hopefully positive news maybe coming for the next episode. Maybe have something positive to say. Hopefully.
Fingers
Hopefully.
crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Price updates and trends coming into August. Seems like things have been pretty soft, pretty flat across the board. Crude oil and natural gas both very flat for July. Brent crude was down $1 or $2, but seems like things are pretty flat across the board coming here into August.
Yeah, propylene up $0.015. I think benzene up somewhere around 12 cents a gallon, which isn't much. You see, like you mentioned, oil and gas is pretty flat. So overall, it's either flat or there's competitive activity to maintain business, I'd say, as a general.
Yeah. I guess very unexciting price update this month. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say.
I mean, there's so much for us to talk about geopolitically and the problems of the world, but there's not a lot to talk about raw material wise. There,
Yeah.
It's pretty flat.
Yeah. Yeah, glycol's similar thing.
Yeah, mostly supply demand driven. DEG got a little tight, so there's an uptick in pricing coming into August, but MEG is still soft and plenty of availability, so that kind of came down a little bit, but like I said, largely supply demand driven at this point.
Yeah, and one thing we mentioned too, kind of along the same path, is the low import activity that we're seeing coming into the U.S.
There's no real reason for people to, gamble on bringing in volumes right now to thinking that they might be able to take advantage of forthcoming price increases. The demand is very low, so people are becoming more, dependent on local supply when they need it. Because, the demand being soft, it's just, when something comes up, we go out and buy it. So most of our product is stored locally in North America, South America, so that's pretty good for us. But yeah, we've been seeing a far less imports, and it's been very visible in the last couple months.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like as a factor of everything, with prices coming down, with the tariffs and trade wars and uncertainty on that front.
Right.
Not surprising to see.
Not surprising at all.
Featured products, new products, kind of on our own side. One thing I know we wanted to mention is zinc oxide, product we've done for a little bit, but something that we have a position on in the States.
Yeah, that's the one product that we store. We store locally. It has widely used. It can be used in food, paints, plastics. So we store it locally. We have 2 different grades, but there are more than 10 grades available. So give us a call for your zinc oxide needs.
It's kind of interesting how diverse that's used everywhere from ag to cosmetics and everything in
Everything
between.
in between.
It's used everywhere. So it's kind of interesting in that respect.
Yeah, and it's made here in the U.S.
Yeah, give us a call, send Javi a WhatsApp, whatever
WhatsApp,
you
text
prefer.
message, whatever you need.
Go find them at the beach.
Or the bar.
Yeah,
At the tiki bar.
I don't know. You look a little sick. Maybe have to take the rest of the day off after
I
this.
might have to take the day off.
There's
I
something
don't know.
going around in Jamestown.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
We'll be saving power in the building next door. There's not gonna be anybody in there.
It's called the sun's out. It's a beautiful day. Everybody's sick.
Speaking of the sun being out, obviously trade show season seems to be a little bit quieter in the summertime. Seeing that right now. July had 1 or 2. August seems pretty slow, but then it's starting to pick back up in September. So we're starting to talk about some of the upcoming shows and conferences that we have going on. AJ, you want to run through those for us?
Yeah, so first in September, we'll be exhibiting at Chemicals America, again in Charleston, South Carolina. That's been a great show for us the last 6 or 7 years, so we'll be down there again. Myself, Ben, Corey Mullins, and Ray Altenberger. So reach out to us for a meeting. We've got lunches and dinners available, so happy to get together with you guys down there.
Yeah, it's always a good one. We had people asking about that this week, if it's worth going or walking, and it's definitely one we'd recommend for most people in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. Based on the waiting list they have for exhibitors to get in there, still a lot of interest in the show and a lot of people wanting to get in. So it's probably one of the busier ones that we do. It's only I think it's two days on the floor, right? 2 days on the.
I think it's like a day and a half this year, something like that.
Day and a half.
That's all you need.
Yeah, well, they do a good job with keeping everybody there and intermingling. And
That's a much better way to have a show.
Yeah.
I mean, these 5, 7, 10-day shows is
monotonous almost.
it's I mean, and you get to the last day or a couple days. If it's a 5-day show, the last day is crickets.
Yeah.
The first day is crickets, and it's all in the middle. So if you can, for these show people, if they can make it a day or 2, it'll just be more effective and efficient, and it would be better exchanging of ideas because you'd have everybody there, just like you're saying, in a short period of time. And I think it's a much better, schedule.
Yeah.
Shorten it up.
Yeah.
3 p.m. cocktail hour on the show floor. That's a good idea.
You guys must like that.
Well, I think it's good because it keeps everybody there and
Yep.
everybody loosens up with the beverage, obviously. So they do a good job of keeping everybody on the show floor. I think it's a great format.
Yeah.
But
so-
and then after that we'll be out in Anaheim for the CamX show. That's September 23rd through the 26th. CamX is composites and resins and materials like that. So I'll be out there with Tim Driscoll, who's our composite manager. Same thing, reach out to us for a meeting. Happy to meet with anybody anytime. So let us know.
We ever done a booth there, or is that the first time we've had a?
No, this will be our
Tabletop.
first time exhibiting.
First time.
We've walked it a couple times in the past, and it's been good. So we decided to go for a booth this year.
And that's one that bounces around, right? It was in like Florida last year, California this year.
Yeah, last year it was in Florida, but it got canceled because of a hurricane, and they moved it to Houston, I believe. But now they usually do West Coast, East Coast, kind
Yeah.
of alternating back and forth.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
And we got the Vinyl Tech at the end of the month. Myself and Joe DeVerso will be down at that one. It's a good show. It's a little bit technical, a little bit trade show format, which is nice. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. They do a good layout with that one. So we'll be sponsoring it. We have a tabletop booth as well in Akron, Ohio. So if anyone's going to be down at that, of course, let us know. And then the two big conferences coming up at the end of the year, the EPCA and the APLA.
Yeah, going back to Berlin in October for EPCA. Looking forward to that. Should be interesting meetings over there for sure with everything that's going on. And then APLA is all the way down in Buenos Aires this year in November. And I have a feeling that might be somewhat more lightly attended. I've had a lot of people tell me it's become a somewhat redundant show and more local. And it's also a long way away. So, and with the problems in Latin America and how small of a market is, I'm hoping it'll be well attended, but I'm having some doubts about that.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. Last year it was in Mexico. It was well attended.
Not just Mexico.
Oh yeah, it was in Cancun. Yes, but yeah, it's a long way. It's a 10-hour flight, so it's quite
for us. For Europe,
for Europeans even longer.
And from Asia, it's even long. It's a long way away. But yeah, and hopefully looking forward to EPCA, APLA. They're very important shows for us.
I assume you guys are starting to look at meetings and schedules, so obviously reach out if that's something of interest.
EPCA for sure. Already setting up meetings and dinners and everything. So yeah, now's the time.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have a link hopefully if you're on the podcast, you also get the View email. So we'll have a link on there to set up a meeting if that's something of interest. We can certainly get that done. And then wrapping things up, some inside news, kind of things going on within TCC. Let's go and run through those.
Yeah, well, tomorrow's the last day for Tom Olch. After 45 years in the chemical industry, he's decided to hang it up and retire. So we wish Tom well. He's been a very important part of the growth here at TCC. Super, super bright guy, talented, well respected. After 45 years, he's one of the more respected guys in the industry, and we're sad to lose his experience and knowledge, but at some point you got to enjoy life. So best of luck, Tom, and thank you for everything. And also just wanted to say that we gave a donation to the Angioma Foundation in the name of Carol Goodman, Forrest Goodman, who's one of our original, I think he was the 4th employee ever here at TCC. His wife Carol passed away, unfortunately, recently. She was a big part of the TCC family. Even though she wasn't an employee, she might as well have been. She was an amazing person. Really had a fun and funny personality, and so we're gonna miss her. It's been tough for the TCC family to digest how suddenly it happened, and we're here to support Forrest, and any thoughts and prayers for Forrest are appreciated. And if you'd like to give to the Angioma Foundation, Forrest and Carol lost their daughter to angioma only a couple years ago. So unfortunately, the family's had a lot of tragedy. So Forrest chose the Angioma Foundation as sort of a way you could give in memory of Carol.
Yeah, and same thing, we'll put some details, depending where you're streaming this. If you scroll down, we'll have the link to the foundation in there, or it'll obviously have a little right-up in the View email as well. So two different ways to check that out.
That's nice.
But anything else? Wrapping things up for August?
This is kind of a Debbie Downer podcast, but
little
I mean,
bit.
it's just the way it is right
Yeah.
now. I mean, it's really, there's a lot of concern out there, and we've heard some horror stories. I think what we talk about internally is that we're very lucky at TCC that we're a very diverse company in terms of our products and our services. So that's helping us in this critical time. And just want to thank our producing partners for their support. We couldn't be the company we are without them. And right now in these critical times is when their support is needed most. So just to maintain market share and maintain our sales level and things like that. So I think maybe in our next podcast we can talk about how things have slowed down in mergers and acquisitions, and there's just, the industry's not rife with money anymore, and that's not, we're going to see these things slow down. So there's a lot of things that the news that's matriculating to the surface right now is going to have an effect on. So even though it sounds like, like I said, a Debbie Downer type of podcast, this is important times in our industry.
Yeah, I think one interesting and I guess positive thing too is some of those reports coming out. Some companies have released their first half report and it's down 5, 10, 15%, whatever it is. But the second half of those reports is this is what we're looking at for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 18 months, which could be just a little PR and fluff, if you want to say that. But at the same time, it kind of gives a good time to stop and see what you guys are doing, what's working, what's not working, and kind of evaluate your strategy for the next 12 to 18 months. So I think we see a lot of that, and that's a good thing out of a bad time, I guess you could say.
Right. I mean, it's cycles in this industry. We've seen this cycle before. This time it's just not reflected in the stock market, which just means the stock market is fake news. It's just being held up by computers or the benefits that are being handed out or whatever. Who knows? I'm not an economic expert here, but I just know what we see. And, we do our best to make fair predictions. And I think that thanks to you, Ben, in this podcast, I think it's a good way to get that information out. And people hopefully can use this information to make purchasing decisions or maybe not purchasing decisions. So
better educated decisions.
Yeah, educated decisions, And so thanks to the listeners too that listen to our podcast.
Absolutely. As always, obviously the podcast is available wherever you stream your podcasts. Apple Podcast Store, on the Google Play Store. It's always available on the view from thechemco.com/podcast. Of course, we have our video version here, courtesy of the Kettlebottom creative guys. It's available on all our social media channels right on the website. You want to go right to the YouTube channel, you're welcome to do that. So if you want to sit at your office and look at our four faces while you're streaming, you're more than welcome to.
I don't know why you don't want to do that.
I don't either.
Just listen to it.
A bit of headline. Just listen. But as Rob said, we appreciate you guys listening, and we will catch you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.